Back in December, Micah Parsons planted his left foot, his knee buckled, and Green Bay's entire season went with it. They lost 4 straight and got bounced in the wildcard round. That is exactly the disaster that Dallas was trying to avoid when they traded him. Today, we're going to make the case that nobody wants to hear, that the Dallas Cowboys read this one right. So here's the deal on paper. Dallas sends Micah Parsons to Green Bay, and back come 3 things. 3-time Pro Bowl tackle Kenny Clark, a 2026 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick. Then Parsons signs the contract Dallas wouldn't give him. 4 years, $188 million, about $47 million a year. 136 of that was guaranteed. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. Now, the take you've heard everywhere is simple. Dallas gave away a generational talent and got fleeced. And I get it, but that take skips the actual question a front office has to answer. So let me ask it the way the cap sheet does. Do you want to spend most of your defensive money on one player and then tie your entire season to that one player staying healthy? Because that's the real decision. Not, is Micah good? He's great, obviously. The question is whether you build your whole house on a single pillar. And Dallas said no. And here's why that's not cowardice, it's math. When you had one man $47 million a year, you're not just paying for his production, you're accepting his risk. If he has a down year, you're stuck. If he holds out, you're stuck. If he gets hurt, your season goes with him. You have no insulation because you spent it all on him. And let's not forget, the best ability is availability. And this is the part that Dallas clearly weighed because Parsons is not made of steel. In 2024, he missed 4 games. In 2025, he tore his ACL and his meniscus in December. And that injury is serious enough that he could still be working his way back when the 2026 season kicks off. 2 years in a row, one of the best defenders alive has missed real time. And don't get me wrong, that's not a knock on his heart. It's just the truth about betting everything on one body. And if you want to know what that bet looks like when it goes wrong, you don't even have to guess. You can just look at the team that made it. Green Bay went all in. They gave up 2 ones and a starter, paid Parsons a record deal, and for 3 months it looked brilliant. They were 9-3-1, and then Parsons tears his knee in Denver. And the Packers lose their last 4 games. Every single one. They backed into the playoffs, blew a 21-3 lead to the Bears, and then they went home. Super Bowl window, gone. Not because they were wrong about Parsons, but because they built the whole thing on him, and then he got hurt. That's the exact outcome that Dallas tried to avoid. And I can already hear every single platform. If Dallas did end up paying Micah this record deal, all the headlines would have been about how you sunk all of your money into one guy on defense. He's never available. When he goes down, the team is worthless. I get it. And that's why Dallas moved on from him. So now let's talk about what they bought with the money instead. Watch what one contract turned into. Kenny Clark comes in via the trade. At the midseason deadline, Dallas flips a first-round pick and more capital to the Jets for Quinnen Williams, one of the best interior rushers in football, and signs him to a 3-year, $106 million extension. And then in March, in a move that you cannot make up, they go back to the trading table with Green Bay and bring back Rashan Gary. Then they rework his deal down and save about $14 million in cap space. So the interior of that defensive line goes from a question mark to Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams with a proven Rashan Gary as a rusher next to them. And then the draft. And this is where it stops being a salary dump and it starts looking like a plan that's coming to fruition. They used the Packers' 2026 first-round pick on an edge rusher out of UCF. That's a direct product of the trade. The pick that Dallas got back from Green Bay turned into a young pass rusher on a rookie deal. But that's not even the pick that I want to talk about. With their own top pick, Dallas traded up to number 11 and took Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. And I need you to understand who this is. Downs won the Jim Thorpe Award for the best defensive back in college football. He won the Lott Trophy. He was Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and a 2-time unanimous All-American. He's the highest profile defender that Dallas has drafted since, you guessed it, Micah Parsons. And here's why he matters so much for this specific trade. Downs isn't just good, he's a chess piece. He plays deep safety, he plays the slot, he walks down into the box like a linebacker. He is a quarterback for the entire defense. He commands it, he sets it, and by every scouting account, he makes everyone around him better. That is a difference maker, just at a position where one guy doesn't have to stay healthy for the whole thing to work. And remember Dallas' single biggest problem in 2025. Dead last in the league against the pass. 251.5 yards per game through the air. Caleb Downs is the most direct answer to that problem that you could possibly draft. So this is the picture. Clark and Williams inside, Gary and Lawrence on the edge, Downs running the back end. And remember, this is not even to mention the other players that were hurt last year or didn't really get enough playing time that are finally going to be back and hopefully fully healthy. Overshown, Revel, and Zaraku are all three names that could be household by the end of this season. Stephen Jones called it the foundation of their future. And for once, that's not just a media spin. That is a roster. Now, I'm not going to sit here and insult you like you don't know ball. The 2025 defense was awful. 30th overall. Dead last against the pass. 60 touchdowns allowed. That was the most in the league. If you want to say Dallas missed Parsons in 2025, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to argue you on that. But watch what that number actually proves. A defense that finishes 30th that gives up 60 touchdowns is not one player away from good. It's broken in every phase. And here's the uncomfortable truth for the just keep Micah crowd. Even prime Micah Parsons doesn't fix a secondary that finished dead last. One edge rusher cannot cover receivers. He can't play free safety. A unit that bad doesn't need a star. It needs a gut renovation at 4 or 5 positions at once. And a gut renovation at 4 or 5 positions is the one thing you cannot do when $47 million of your cap is tied into one single man. You can only do it if you spread the money, which is exactly what trading Parsons let Dallas do. So the historically bad defense isn't the argument against the trade. It's actually the argument for it. It's the proof that the problems were bigger than any one player, and that the smart move was to buy more players, not one bigger name. So here's my honest read, as a Cowboys fan who came in ready to be angry. 3 things. 1, the theory is sound. Concentrating your money on one man and riding his health is how contenders die. Green Bay just showed us, live on a frozen field in Denver. Dallas built a defense that survives any one guy going down. That's just good front office thinking. It's not a fire sale. 2, the return is very real. Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, Rashan Gary, and a draft class headlined by Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence. That's a starting front 7 and the best young safety in the league. All under control, all cheaper per man than Parsons alone. And 3, yes, they gave up the one player who can take over a game by himself. That's a heavy cost. I'm not going to pretend that it's nothing. But they traded it for something a front office should want more. No single point of failure. A defense that can be very good every week instead of great until the week that it isn't. Jerry compared this to the Herschel Walker trade, and everyone laughs at that. But the Walker trade is legendary for one reason. Dallas turned the picks into a dynasty. That's the whole game here too. Downs and Lawrence and the picks still to come have to hit. If they do, this isn't Dallas getting fleeced. It's Dallas doing the exact thing that built 3 Super Bowls, trading one great player for a whole team. So 1 year later, did the Cowboys lose the Micah Parsons trade? Ask me in January. But the cap sheet, the risk, and the roster they've built all say the same thing. This wasn't panic, it was a plan. And it's a good one. So tell me in the comments, did Dallas read this right, or am I just a fan talking myself into it? Like and subscribe, and I'll keep running the numbers behind the decisions. We'll see you in the next one.